As international pressure on Israel mounts over the humanitarian crisis in Gaza, there's also growing criticism over Jewish settlers in the occupied West Bank. Last week, Israel announced that it will build 22 new settlements in the Palestinian territory, contrary to international law. Now, recently, two Oscar-winning filmmakers tried to show international journalists the situation in the West Bank, but they were blocked by Israeli soldiers. DW's Emily Gordine has this report.
There is no passage in this crossroads today.
Why not?
Because I have here a warrant that gives me the authority to not allow passage today in this crossroads.
But why?
What's the reason? I invited journalists to my home. What's the reason?
Can we go
To keep the order in this area.
Why you didn't prevent the settlers when they come to burn the homes inside the cars and attacking people? Why you don't come to do this order? Why only for journalists who are holding cameras and phones?
Soldiers stop us from visiting the Palestinian village of Khallet, a-Dabe in the south of the West Bank. The Israeli military, it seems, doesn't want us to see what's happening here. This is Area C of the Palestinian West Bank that Israel occupies against international law. Film directors Basel, Adra and Yuval Abraham won the Oscar for the movie No Other Land that they made in this area.
We wanted to show you the destruction of the villages. We wanted to show you what the settlers are doing. The settlers are now there. They are free. The journalists are not free.
The settler attacks they portrayed in the film continue in villages like Khallet, a-Dabe. The Israeli military has full control over this area. For decades, it's been at the heart of the country's illegal annexation efforts. This video taken by activists shows the demolition carried out by Israel's army in May. When their houses were torn down, many locals moved into traditional Bedouin caves nearby, but settlers found them.
Last week, settlers came and kicked one of the families out of their cave that they are living inside, and occupied it, settle in it, like create an outpost, bringing like a few hundreds of sheep and goats and camels, and start to graze them in people's gardens, in the fields, in the olive trees, and the grapes. Hundreds of the trees of that community were destroyed in the last week.
Residents of Khallet, a-Dabe, as well as activists, say the Israeli military has been complicit in the destruction of their village.
Khallet, a-Dabe is part of the area of Masafriyata. Israel designated this a firing zone, which means it does not recognize the fact that the Palestinian residents of this area have any right to be there. And it's crucial to stress none of this is the initiative of individual settlers or some sort of action that they're taking independently. They are getting full support from the Israeli authorities, full support from all echelons of the Israeli government and from the army.
The Israel Defense Forces told DW the village was built within a military firing zone, making it illegal, and that entry into such zones was forbidden. And yet Palestinians have lived here since long before the area was designated a firing zone. Israeli settlers have moved here illegally, displacing the Palestinian community. Neither the Israeli army or police forces have stopped them. Residents and activists alike fear that the ultimate aim is to erase the entire community.
Well, joining me now from Jerusalem is Omri Eran-Vardi. He is an Israeli photographer and an activist who has covered the displacement of Palestinians in the West Bank. Omri, it's good to have you with us. I want to ask you, after seeing that report and considering your work, can you tell us, do you know what happens to these Palestinians the moment after they are forced to leave their homes in the West Bank? Where do they go?
Well, we're talking about a process that eventually pushes them into the urban ghettos of Area A, areas that are supposedly under control of the Palestinian Authority, but are also daily invaded by the Israeli military and settlers.
Where and what is Area A?
Okay, so most of these communities, all of these communities that we're talking about, these communities in Masafriyata, they are in an area considered Area C, which was supposed to become eventually a part of the Palestinian state that is not going to be established. And in this area, that's the same area where all the settlers are, and that's the area where basically Israel has full control. Mm-hmm. And basically since '67, Israel has been trying to depopulate these areas and push the population into the dense urban areas of Area A.
Okay.
Which is the cities Nablus, Hebron, etc.
Okay. I know that you have been photographing the clearing of Palestinians from their homes in the West Bank. You've seen this happen time and time again. Have you noticed a pattern in the way that these operations are carried out?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I want to refer to something said in the report previously, just to say that it's, as Sarit Michaeli explained beautifully, it's not that the army is complicit. This is a state plan. We're talking about villages in Masafir Yatta. We're talking about 12 communities that have existed long before the establishment of the State of Israel and obviously long before the occupation of 67. And these communities are prevented from access to water, to electricity, to infrastructure, while the regime is encouraging settlers to establish new outposts on every hill around. Khallet, a-Dabe specifically is surrounded by 9 outposts. 7 of them are inside the fire zone, and most of those were only constructed in the past 2 years.
Expanding Israeli settlements, we know that in the West Bank is against international law. We've got Amnesty International saying that the past 4 months we've seen the largest displacement of Palestinians there since the June 1967 war. What are you hearing from Palestinians in the West Bank? Do they know why this is happening so quickly now?
So this is seen by Palestinians as one plan in the whole land. It's happening also in the Negev, the Naqab, 48 lands inside legal Israel. It's happening, the same thing. People are pushed out of their villages, complete villages are erased. The tactics differ a bit. In the West Bank, it's a lot of settler involvement, and in the Naqab, not so much, but people are displaced. Actually, there's more houses being demolished every year inside Israel, in the Naqab, Palestinian houses that Israel is destroying to depopulate these areas and push those Palestinians into Bedouins, into densely urban areas, very similar to what's happening in Masafir Yatta, and it's actually a very, very close distance between the two.
I want to ask you about something we saw in this report. The Israeli military says that the village in the report that just aired, that village lies in a military firing zone. Why does that designation allow the military to limit access even if Palestinians own the land?
Excellent question. Thank you very much. So yes, basically, it is a military zone, but that military zone was only declared in the 80s, and the communities there are ancient communities, specifically Khallet, a-Dabe. You're talking about ancient caves where those Palestinian Falahi farmers, they're not Bedouins, have been living for generations. And you know, Israel just declared those fire zones in the 80s. Ariel Sharon himself, who made the declaration, stated that the purpose is to basically cleanse those areas from Palestinians. And now that is used to destroy 90% of the village and to encourage settlers to attack the community, to provide them security while they roam through the village, destroying every fruit tree, to support them while they are doing their part of the displacement. But we don't know now who will displace the community eventually. Will it be the army that will come and push them out as the court has officially allowed? Or will it be via settler attacks, as we've seen earlier, that are facilitated by, obviously, by the regime, as we've seen in many other areas also in the previous weeks?
Israeli photographer and activist Omri Eran-Vardi. Omri, unfortunately, we're out of time, but we appreciate you taking the time to talk with us and to share your stories. Thank you.
Thank you very much.